Again, guestless. This just happens to be that, like, part of the reason that I wanted to do this podcast was bring the real story of entrepreneurship, whether it be through highlighting other entrepreneurs and their journeys, or talking about things that I'm experiencing inside of my businesses. So, I mean, today is I don't know. I think it might be a pretty powerful episode because I want to talk about drugs. But I want to go deep on that, and we'll get to the heart of what has actually brought this up for me to talk about. But I feel the need to expand in general when it comes to drugs and my feelings on drugs, because let's just say I've got strong feelings on the issue itself. So, let's dive right in. So when we're talking about the drugs of like meth, heroin, crack, I don't think that it is dumb people that do those drugs. I think that it's a dumb decision to do those drugs. And ultimately, for lack of better words, like, you're a loser if you do these types of drugs. And I can say that from the perspective that through being a union rep and having to represent people that have went through their drug issues, through being 47 years old and employing a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of different things, never once in my life have I came across a drug user along the lines of the drugs of meth, heroin, and crack that they are capable of controlling those drugs. Those drugs are just too strong. They control you. They wreck your life. And and when I talk about it, I'm like, so, I don't know, I'm 24 years old. 24 years old, let's just say somebody offered me some crack. We did it the old way, where at the time it was like dent a can and poke some holes in it and smoke a cigarette and put some ashes down and then put the crack crystals on top of the ashes and take a lighter over it and kind of meld it down. It was like the cheap garbage way of actually smoking it, but tasted good. Buzz was actually pretty cool. Tried it a couple times. So one evening, me and several people enter a trailer, and it's dark out. And there were a couple of us, and through the course of the event, we burn up an 8-ball. And I walked out, and when I walked out, I realized I was walking out the next morning, like 12 or 14 hours later in broad daylight. And I remember very distinctly, even today, saying to myself, wow, that was incredible. That will my life, and I have so much to live for and so much going for me, and I never did it again. Now, there's a part of me that'll say that I can attribute that to that I don't have an addictive personality. You get a little bit deeper into it. I think that there are some addictions that I do have, but I think it's got a lot more to do with the chemicals inside of my brain that I'm in love with when it comes to drugs, because like dopamine, serotonin, like I love those drugs being released in my brain. But the point is, at 24 years old, willing to experiment, I was one of the lucky few that was able to realize how good something was and how quickly I could actually let it take over my life, and decided right then and there that I had more to live for, that I had more going for me in life. And it just was not worth throwing that all away, because I could tell that I loved the experience so much that if I went back and did it again, like, I would devote everything to it, and in a very short amount of time, I would completely trash my life. And some of the individuals I was with on that evening, I literally watched it wreck their life in general. So what I'm getting at with that is, it's like you're not dumb for trying these things, but it is a dumb decision, because I have never seen anybody be able to do these drugs on a recreational level that did not lead to them literally destroying their lives and losing everything that they had all over these drugs. The sad part is that I think that as kids, people experiment with different drugs, or as adults, you find yourself at like a very low point in life when many times when you're coming to that realization that life is just not fair, and you in a moment of weakness, another loser offers you these drugs. And I mean, like, I'll be real about it. I mean, like, they are losers, and they are hooked on these drugs, and offering them to you is like, they're not your friend. That's the worst thing somebody could do, because any of them that are hooked on those drugs know damn well those drugs are no good for you, that you will throw everything away in search of those drugs, that it is a losing proposition. They are losers, and I mean, like, shame on them, or anybody that actually offers somebody meth or heroin or crack in a moment of weakness, because we all have those weaknesses when this unfair world puts us in a situation that beats us down. It doesn't, you're not a bad person for succumbing to that. I'm just here to tell you, like, you're making a bad decision. I have watched these drugs literally trash people's lives. That said, I also do not believe that it makes you a criminal for doing these drugs. I have long said that, like, what's the surest way to turn a drug addict into a criminal? House them with criminals. To arrest somebody and throw them in jail and house them with criminals just for the simple act of doing drugs. Like, this is one of the many ways that our system is broken. It makes no sense to me when you could take a drug addict, which is nothing more than, like I said, somebody in a moment of weakness that was offered something they shouldn't have been offered, but they were. That's water under the bridge. You can't do nothing about that. They're making a bad decision in life. So your answer is to label them a criminal and throw them in jail and house them with criminals, to which at that point, yeah, they're going to get clean. They're going to get that out of their system. And then what are they going to do? They're going to resent the system for labeling them a criminal, and you're housing them with criminals for years on end, and they have nothing better to do than to learn how to be an actual criminal. Now, that said, if you break the law or commit a crime to generate money in search of those drugs, okay, I mean, now you're a criminal. But I mean, the point is, I do not believe that drug addiction and people that do those types of drugs are automatically, they should not be labeled criminals and thrown into the system, at least not that system. We should be diverting the money that we have that go towards housing those what they call criminals, and direct that money towards support systems, and make it an optional, a voluntary thing where you have resources for those addictions when you decide, hopefully, that you've hit rock bottom and it's time to turn your life around, that you need those resources available to you without ever being exposed to the actual true current criminals that are sitting in jail. I just think that it's one of the many ways that our system is screwed up. That the bad thing is that a lot of those jails are for-profit jails. So in the big grand scheme of things, that's what they want. They want those jails full because they want to make profits off of those jails. But I don't believe we're doing our society any favors by labeling drug addicts criminals. Labeling them losers. I mean, it is what it is. You just kind of got to accept the facts. But the point being, our system is broken in that way. Okay, so let's move on and let's get past those. Let's get to the drugs that are commonly widely accepted in our world: caffeine, marijuana, nicotine, alcohol. And funny enough, I want to lead straight out with saying these are the drugs that are widely accepted as use inside of our society. And out of all of the drugs out there, like, alcohol is the most destructive of them all. The difference is that, I've met many people that are functioning alcoholics. I've met just as many that are not functioning alcoholics, but I have met functioning alcoholics where they were responsible enough to get up in the morning, go to work, earn a living, pay and handle for their responsibilities. They just chose to literally spend all their free time swimming in a bottle. I'm not a proponent of that. I don't necessarily think that that's a healthy way to live, but the point is, it is something that they are capable of controlling so that they're still being productive members of society and handling their responsibilities. But when you start factoring in drunk driving and domestic abuse, and I'm like, the alcohol is so widely accepted, yet it is one of the most destructive drugs in our world. I mean, you want to get right down to it. I mean, as part of my business, I deal in caffeine. I mean, caffeine is a widely accepted drug in general, and I mean, I start my day with 3 cups. I look forward to those initial 3 cups every day, and I sell specialty espresso that is high octane caffeine in a cup. And again, it's something that gives you a boost, and there's a lot of people that will use it. I mean, to get you through the day when you're dragging ass. But again, it's a widely accepted drug. It's not something that you cannot control. One of my own personal nemesis is nicotine. I mean, I'm a smoker, and I've been a smoker for a long time. It is it's one of my last few monkeys to kick, because I know it's not healthy, and it's something that I need to actually give up. But again, widely accepted, albeit over the years, it's not necessarily that it's still widely accepted, but what it's widely accepted at this point as a tax generator, because I can remember paying $1 a pack, and now I'm paying $6 and $7 a pack. And that's not because the cost of the product went up. That's because of the taxation, and the government heavily depends on those tax dollars so that they can spend money on promises they're making. But the reality is it's like not a good, it's not good for you. But I mean, there are many things that are not good for you. I mean, I remember being inside of the plants, working in the factories, and smoking a cigarette, and somebody trying to tell me that this is bad for you, and I laughed at them, and I'm like, you smell that shit in the air? Like, I'm quite positive the things that we're breathing in the air are a whole lot less healthy than the cigarette, so get off my back. I mean, it is it's one of those accepted things that people just don't have a whole lot of toleration for being actually judged about. Then we get around to marijuana. This is where we have intended and unintended consequences. And I say it like that because, Nixon's war on drugs was a lie. Reagan's war on drugs was a lie. It is a lie. There are too many real life stories that have been created. There's too many documentaries out there. Like, if they truly wanted to win the war on drugs, they could have shut down these drug cartels. Nope. This was about money. This was about headlines. They never actually tried to stop them. It was bullshit. It was scare tactics. It has been a lie. And that's the one side of it, because the other side of it is, like, it's a black market thing. You're not going to stop it by threatening jail time. And then when we get back to trying to get back to the heart of it, when it comes to marijuana, like, I believe that it was my generation's responsibility to teach the next generation that marijuana is not what the government says it is, that it's a lie. And it's always been a lie. And I haven't tried to dive deep enough into finding out necessarily what their plot was in all of it. And some people don't want to hear this argument, don't care. It's still a legitimate argument. Like, after Prohibition, alcohol is widely accepted in this country. Marijuana is nowhere near as dangerous as alcohol. And I mean, my kids were raised to know that that everybody has a monkey on their back, that everybody looks for a release, that you're going to be offered and tempted to do a lot of things. And don't lie to me about it. If you're going to be offered a joint and you're going to smoke a joint, I'm not going to get mad at you about it, because kids do stupid shit. Be smart about being stupid. I mean, you're going to try things. Pot is not as bad as meth and heroin and crack. I have known many, thousands of potheads that it does not control them. They control it. By and large, it is like Cat Williams, hungry, happy, sleepy. Like, that is generally the effects of it. your response time slows. So it's still not a good idea to be driving on it because literally your response time slows, but you don't have double vision. You don't have equilibrium issues. You're not a drunk driver. It's just your response time slows. Marijuana is not as dangerous as alcohol, and again, alcohol does more damage than anything else, but the reality is there is a semblance that by and large, the vast amount of society can control their alcohol consumption, and I have just never seen anybody be able to literally control their meth or heroin or their crack addiction. It's always calling at them. They're always thinking about it. It is nothing more than a destroy your life. Before I actually get to the bigger point of this, I want to address the other type of drug out there, and I'm just going to classify that as pills. And what are pills? Well, pills are virtually every one of these drugs, but in legal prescription money-making form, because they have pills that replicate meth. They have pills that replicate heroin. They have pills that replicate crack and nicotine and caffeine and pot. And all it is the pharmaceutical industry's version of it. And because they've got politicians bought and paid for, they're able to legally get people addicted to their drugs. And somehow that's okay with society. But yet the other version of them is not okay with society, so it's label him a criminal and throw him in jail. I find this such an oxymoron that I just do not understand how people can rationalize this, from our political leaders all the way down to the common person walking on the street. How you rationalize this in your brain, I have no clue. These pharmaceutical companies that are producing these pills are just as dangerous as the base drug themselves, and I do not think what's that? You got hydrocodone, which is it's a painkiller, but Oxycontin, that was everybody knows at this point how destroying of a life Oxycontins are, heavily addictive, not good for society, never should have been cleared by the FDA. It is a horrible drug on the market, but politicians are involved, lobbyists are involved, pharmaceutical companies are involved. So, hey, it's legal. Let's just get doctors to prescribe it. So, okay, I will get off my soapbox, because what I'm circling back around to in all of this, and a lot of it is that be smart about being stupid, is that, I employ, a healthy clip of people. And when I was talking to my sister about the marijuana thing, because I'm not going to deny, I live in Indiana, and I've said Indiana is on the wrong side of history. Every state around Indiana, I think with the exception of Kentucky, is legalized. You should be bringing it out of the underworld. You should be taxing it and accepting it as part of society, because you can fight it all you want. I firmly believe that 80 to 90% of all people in America know damn well what it smells like, and over 60% of them, whether they do it or not, think that it should be legalized, because none of us believe the lie anymore. We know that it is not as dangerous as alcohol, and if alcohol is legal, well, it's supposed to be a free country, and by all rights, this should be legal as well. And we've had effects over the last decades with letting people know that the government is lying about it. So as I was having a conversation with my sister, she said that generally when it comes down to things of this nature, that you get states that they will individually legalize, and then you finally get to a tipping point where the federal government finally has to get their act together and change. And then when we get into the political side of it, I'm looking at them going, twice now in my lifetime, the Democrats have had control of all three chambers of government. They all promised to right this wrong and legalize, and twice now they have not done dick to actually fulfill the promises they made that they got votes on to right this wrong on a federal level. And our state governor has said he is not making a move on this until the federal government does make a move on it. And over half of the states in this country have already got, whether it be medical or recreational laws in place for marijuana. And I'm saying this on the level of the criminalization side of it. Like, you should not be labeling people criminals for doing drugs. You damn sure should not be labeling people criminals for actually doing marijuana. That said, because what brought this up and what made me want to address this is how some of these things are affecting my business, and how pathetic it is, because it's that be smart about being stupid. Like, in one of my operations, I literally had a manager that had to fire a 16-year-old because apparently they thought that it's okay to be stoned from the time that you wake up to the time that you go to sleep. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. Like, you're going to fuck it up for all of us that want to see this wrong righted when you're talking about literally having teenagers that, there we get to the, like, when I'm teaching my kids that don't believe what the government says about marijuana, it's not it's not the devil. It's not what you think it is. It's not what they've been trying to tell you. Like, that was intended. It was the unintended was, we literally have teenagers now with their vape pens that literally think that it's okay to be stoned 24 hours a day. And I'm here to tell you, that shit's not okay. Like, you still have to be a productive member of society. And when you smoke pot, like, if you have any level of procrastination, you will likely procrastinate more. Your level of comprehension, out the door. Your ability to retain information on short-term memory, out the door. Like, if you are stoned around equipment, you are unsafe in a work environment. It is dumb to even think that it's okay to be stoned 24 hours a day. It's not okay. My whole justification when it comes to whether it be alcohol or marijuana is that, like, I've long said, the world's not fair. Life is not fair. That's not a reason not to live it. Like, but everybody has a monkey on their back. Sooner or later, you need to take the edge off because there's a lot of stresses and responsibilities that just go to life in general. So you look at the ones that are safe to do, that won't have you end up labeled as a loser, and the ones that are not safe to do, that you'll end up destroying everything in your life and just simply just to be a fucking loser. Like, we all know all of the information is out there, so it breaks my heart to see a good person that makes bad decisions. But when we've literally got it to a point where that it is starting to tip, that by and large the nation knows marijuana is not what the government tried to say that it was in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. Like, okay, we've gotten past that. That does not mean that it is smart to literally swing the pendulum the other way and think that you literally have to be stoned every waking minute just to survive the day. Like, that is a level of ridiculousness and destruction, both in your life and, let's be real, like, part of life is you go through those stages of you're a kid, then you move into the adult years, then you're living your life, planning your life so that you can enjoy your golden years. And I know some people look at that differently, and again, I've lost friends in the flash of an eye, so maybe living your entire life for the future is not the smartest thing. But let me tell you, I mean, living just for the moment, that's not smart either, because by and large, the vast majority of us are going to live well into our 60s, 70s, and 80s. You can't work in those years of your life. So if you're not doing some kind of planning, if you think that you're just going to be a dumb pothead that wastes your entire life away only to get into your later years and think that now you have an excuse to suck off the system, I'm here to tell you, like, be kind to your future self. You're going to live a miserable existence because you literally did not attempt to learn things, develop skills, build character, literally go out and try and contribute to life and take personal responsibility and accountability for yourself to take care of yourself and live a life and be a contributing member to society. And it literally breaks my heart that it was a lie. It was I don't know what the government's motives were when they made marijuana illegal, but the point is it is a lie. Marijuana is something that you can literally control by and large. It does not control you like meth or heroin or crack or even like alcohol. But that doesn't mean that it's smart or even rational to think that you can be stoned from the moment that you wake up until the time that you go to sleep. And when I'm literally seeing this in teenagers, I'm like, okay, this is not being smart about being stupid. This is just on the level of you're fucking dumb if you're literally thinking that it's okay to wake up and start smoking pot all the way till you go to sleep. You're unproductive. You are making yourself unsafe to actually be around. And that's my big thing when it comes down to whether it be medical or recreational or any of those drugs, that's on your personal time. Do that shit in the privacy of your own home, because I'm a big believer that everything's about consensual. What you do in the privacy of your own four walls, as long as it's consensual and you're not hurting anybody else, you do you, not my business. But when you are getting up and smoking pot from the moment that you wake up, well, you're going to school, you're in the public, you're going to job, you're dealing with coworkers, you're around equipment, you're dealing with customers. That's not being smart about being stupid. That's being dumb and literally putting yourself and other people in harm's way. And it's certainly not doing anything for your own mental or physical development. I can promise you that if you're looking to actually be stoned 24/7, you're not making good decisions about how to actually mentally and physically develop in your life to grow up to be a strong human being. Because that's a lot of this one, and what I see in society, this is about weakness. And I'm like, it just breaks my heart to see a country and a society starting to tip the scales of acting so weak and so sensitive that, again, we have stronger countries that are out there just waiting to eat our lunch, and we're playing right into it. And it's like that weakness, nothing good comes from that weakness, whether it be mental or physical. So I'm just here to say that, when it comes to my coffee business, we're dealing with 200-degree temperatures. When it comes to my pizza business, we're dealing with 500-degree temperatures. When it comes to my apparel or garment decorating, we're dealing with equipment that when the shit moves, it'll break your hand, it'll break your arm. Dealing with the embroidery, you're dealing with needles. That stuff will clamp down on your hand and it will not let go. I cannot have people that are literally in the moment on drugs in any of my businesses. And I'm speaking for all business owners when I'm saying this. And the part of the reason that I'm talking about this is because I've said 9 out of 10 fail in the first year, and of the one that makes it, 9 out of 10 fail in the first 10 years. And there are so many reasons that failure can come about. But I am a big believer, 7 out of 10 never should have tried, because the stuff that I'm talking about on these podcasts, I'm not special. These are the things that you are going to deal with in business. I had a couple podcasts back that I went through about dealing with sexual harassment and personal relationships developed inside of the business that went bad and it infected the entire group, and it affected the entire business. And again, I'm not special. These are the issues that you're going to have to deal with when you're trying to build a business, when you're trying to scale anything, because you have groups of people that you're going to put together, and all of these problems and situations, this is exactly the kind of thing that you're going to deal with in entrepreneurship. So when you start thinking about getting into business, this is where I'm saying be a little bit introspective, because you should be asking yourself, if you're going to go into business, is this the type of stuff that are these the type of problems and challenges that you're prepared to deal with, that eyes wide open, by going into business, sooner or later, you're going to deal with situations like these? Because the reality is, as an entrepreneur, you are responsible for everything, not just yourself. So the more people you hire, the more people that you're responsible for, but you can't control them and you can't see everything that's going on. So sooner or later, you're going to deal with drug addiction issues. Sooner or later, you're going to deal with sexual harassment issues. And I'm just naming 2 of the hundreds of issues that you will deal with on a repeated basis if you decide to get into entrepreneurship. So at least be eyes wide open about this. This is the facts and the reality of what you're going to get into. Sooner or later, you're going to find yourself in the middle of these issues, and how you go about addressing them and dealing with them is going to dictate whether you pass or fail, whether your business continues to go on, because either one of those 2 issues that get inside of a business can wreck a business. And it all comes down to how you handle the situation and how you handle the people involved. Because I have went way out of my way to tell all of my people, what you do on your own time, what you do behind the privacy of your own 4 walls, that shit is not my business. Do not bring it into work. Do not bring it on my property. I am not okay with it in a business environment. I am all about live and let live, and you do you. Not going to judge you. That's why I said I tried crack at 24 years old, realized it would destroy my life, and I never did it again. I made a dumb decision and I rebounded by seeing how badly it could go, and I made a smart decision by removing myself from that environment and never doing that again. I'm okay with pot. I'm okay with alcohol. That does not mean that I drink and drive. That does not mean that I think that it's okay to literally be stoned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is not being smart about being stupid, and that is not being kind to your future self. And these are all things that you should be doing to hold yourself personally accountable for your life and for the people around you that you affect. I mean, it's scary to me when I think about people coming into my operation on drugs or stoned or drunk. You're creating a liability. You could hurt somebody else. You could get yourself hurt, and then I'm liable for it. So I'm speaking for all business owners to say, quit being a loser. Quit making dumb decisions. Be smart about being stupid. If you want to enjoy those freedoms in life, do them behind your own 4 walls in your own time. Don't bring that around the business. I mean, I can remember working inside of the plant and seeing people that thought they were cool because they had a joint in their mouth. And I'm like, really? You got a $50,000 a year job. If you get caught smoking that inside of this plant, you're going to be terminated. Is being cool walking around the plant with a joint in your mouth so that you can say, ha ha, is it worth your job? No. Think about it. Be smart about being stupid. Hold yourself personally accountable. At least make some semblance of good decisions. And that's all I got. Anything else, I will repeat myself, and I have been known to do that from time to time, but I'm not going to do that today. So that's where I am, and I'm telling you, if you are thinking about going in business, you will deal with these types of issues on some level. So at least be eyes wide open if you decide that you're going to throw caution to the wind and start your own entrepreneurial journey. So, all right. If anything I said resonates, or you know anybody that needs to hear this, please share the show. Please leave any types of comments that you might. I'm always open for the feedback. But till next time, you guys have a good night.